Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Friday's edition of the Eternal Flame News. This has been a 2-week Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern program where we bring you news from all around the world. We bring you stories of hope. We bring you prophecy fulfilled. We show you how society and the world has changed as we know it. Now, I have to tell you guys tonight, you must wake up to the realities of what is going on. Because if you don't, you're going to miss out on so many things that are happening. Right now, tonight, we are specifically using our Facebook and Twitter communication. So if you are watching us live, there's a link on our website for Facebook. We have a link on our Facebook page, JMC Ministries. You can live chat with us there. If you're on Twitter, you use the hashtag JMC Live. I will read and respond to any of those posts. Plus, we also have the live stream Procaster chat. We are going to try and bring the message to you guys today. We're going to try and be able to communicate this effectively so so we can get this going further. Tonight's show, what we are talking about tonight, unprecedented, most undercovered media-wise, is the religious freedom rallies. There were 140 of these nationwide right here in the United States. For those of you who are kind of wondering what is a religious freedom rally about, what does it look like, you can go to standupforreligiousfreedom.com. That again is standupforreligiousfreedom.com. Now, I want to show you guys a little snippet of the website, and then we're going to go into the live feeds of what we did this week. Now check this out. This is the Stand Up for Religious Freedom. It was this Friday, March 23rd at noon all across the United States. This was a stand-up rally against the Obama administration's HHS mandate at federal buildings and cities across the country. Now, I want to tell you guys, we did not personally attend one. We did a virtual online Facebook, Twitter, all across the globe. And when I say all across the globe, you're going to hear some clips from Columbus, and you're going to hear some clips from other places showing you how far this actually reached. What if I gave you a snippet and told you it was outside of the United States? Someone was partnering with us today to stand up for religious freedom. So let me read you the fact sheet. The fact sheet. Parts of the fact sheet are on the standupforreligiousfreedom.com website. You can check out the PDF. One of the questions that was asked, what is the HHS mandate and how does this violate religious freedom? This is a big question that has gone about in the political realm, and it's going all around from the Catholic side to the Protestant side, evangelical side, so on and so forth. What does this really mean? Well, in January, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services issued a mandate under the Affordable Care Act known as Obamacare that requires all employer health plans to provide free contraceptives, sterilizations, and abortion-inducing drugs, regardless of any moral or religious obligations. Now, if you're familiar with some Catholic hospitals, majority of them, and some Protestant and other religious entities that are out there that provide medical care, there are many today who will tell you absolutely not. There are only a few exceptions, like if your life's in danger and you have to do stuff. But no. But honestly, they took this even further. Is this really all about just providing access to contraception? No, because this goes really further than just the HHS mandate. It's really about the First Amendment and how we, as a society in America, are continually talking about things like the green slime, and we're talking about how we want to put all this junk in the food, and you don't have a right, or maybe things have changed. A pink slime. Well, I call it green slime because it makes me sick to my stomach and want to vomit. But the question to me that has been presented about all this is, what do Christians do? How do we stand up as a society and honestly move forward? Well, one of the interesting things is, and like I just said a minute ago, this is all across the United States. Many states had their own rallies in their capitals outside of their own buildings. And every day online, somebody had different prayers and whatnot of what really happened and how it went there, and the different facets of how it was. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let Miranda play a clip for you guys real quickly, because you need to hear at least a little bit about what this religious freedom was really about, and what occurred today, who showed up, what was the dialogue about, and I'm going to share some active live blogging tweets that we did 12 noon p.m. through all the standard time zones. I went at it for 3 to 4 hours. Yes, I did. And I made certain that the message that was being brought across the U.S. I could share with you guys tonight. So without further ado, this is actually going to be at Columbus,
Ohio.
Columbus, Ohio. This will be a clip for the Stand Up for Religious Freedom today.
The United States is born of people seeking religious freedom. This was so fundamental to the fledgling state that the Constitution depended on that First Amendment. Shall I say it again? Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. The Health and Human Services mandate set forth by the Obama administration lies in the face of this most fundamental right. It will force all morally objectionable practices upon us. We at Created Equally categorically reject this. We believe that this is just one of a long train of abuses and usurpations brought forth by President Obama. It is our right, it is our duty to throw off such governmental intrusion. Created Equal stands with this effort. President Obama has once again attacked Christians in his relentless pursuit to, as he put it himself, fundamentally transform the United States of America. What he fails to realize is that we not only recognize what he's doing, but we are willing to stop what he is doing. With a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor.
Alright guys, that was just one snippet of a clip from right here in Ohio, Columbus. You could tell the crowd was active. They knew what they were talking about. They're mostly the speakers across the country were some bishops and others from the Catholic realm, some evangelicals, but the most interesting part was there were many women speaking up, speaking their minds about how society really needs to stand up for the truth. And honestly, I don't think many people that weren't there understood the feel of how things were really going across the country, because it was covered on Fox News about 9 o'clock in the morning, and I don't think it was enough justice. I mean, it was a great interview, but honestly, the live feed throughout the day that I saw was not what it hopes to be. I'm hoping the Christian Post and I myself and others can really get this message out there, and hope that my goal and plan is that we as an American people will want to get activated in our faith and vote and be educated and understand the founding fathers and understand the foundings of Christianity and understand where we are in society today, because these things can't happen without the help from others. Because honestly, if we don't, we're missing out on just so much, so many things that could happen. And I told you I'm going to read a few of the Twitter posts that occurred today at the Religious Freedom Rally. I did my best to retweet, not just quality tweeting, but just about everyone in existence that I thought would be beneficial to getting the message out. There were many things that happened, and I'm going to try and do my best to show you the different messages that actually occurred. So here we go. I'm going to try and do a full screen with some of these posts. Yvonne Robinson reposted the Students for Life HQ. Now there's a lot of Twitter posts that I'm going to try and get loaded so you can see some of the other pictures. This is a picture that I'll be showing you here in Washington, D.C. as the rally starts growing in front of the building. And that's just the beginnings. It wasn't even 12 o'clock yet. People were already starting to gather. Now I'm going to go back over here and look at some others. The cool thing is about this, about Twitter, that I like, is how quickly we're able to get a message out and how fast many people can really see the truth. Like we have Reverend Chuck Curry here. As anti-healthcare Senate rally events held, important to note, religious leaders support President Obama's decision. There's been two sides of this. This is the reason why I wanted to say that. I wanted to clearly show that there was two sides. I have to be careful here because there's some off-color words, so I'm going to take it off the screen while I get past a few of those. We had a few people actually attacked us online, but that did not stop, as I said, that did not stop that many people from doing stuff. We have Pro Action saying 300 in Cincinnati stood in the rain. And we had pictures in Philadelphia that, let's see if I can scroll this down so you can see it a little bit better. Check this out. The crowd's starting to grow in Philadelphia. Yeah, like I said, for those of you that are just now tuning in to Eternal Flame News, we're covering the Religious Freedom Rally. There were 140 cities. I don't know if that means a lot to you, but having a well-coordinated effort across the United States to get a message heard. Here is some more from Washington, D.C. This is a rally is even growing more and getting bigger. I just want you guys to know that it's not stopping here. Honestly, the message that I've heard so far is that more people want to continually make events, make plans, learn about voting, how to assist others, and just go from there. Here's some more. Right here in Columbus, Ohio, the crowd's starting to grow right here in downtown Columbus, Ohio. Now I want to try and read, now that you've looked at a few pictures, I want to read you a few of the quotes. One of the things that has happened is they keep asking, where's the freedom? And like I said, the Students for Life HQ, they were the big push, mainstay that got a message out there for the people to see, because that was one of the questions. And here's one of the interesting images that you can see of the day. It says, keep your ovaries off my rosaries. And for those of you that are not Catholic, you don't necessarily understand what that means, and I'll break it down for you for a second. What it means is a rosary is supposed to be a form of something to use to assist you with prayer. That's just a quick, basic answer. I know Catholics are going to beat me over the head for not getting any deeper, but for a Protestant community that normally listens to the program, that's the simplistic answer I can give you. In other words, quit forcing, truths or thing. And as you can see, yeah, there's many women in this image. 1, 2, 3, there's like 15 or so or more. There's some more over here on the left-hand side. This rally ignited the people. It ignited the people to want to make a difference. Because if you don't take this opportunity to move beyond these things, I mean, look, even kids got the picture. And you notice, they're not all white people, so I don't want to hear an excuse that they're all white people. There's an Asian, I don't know, he could be Asian, there could be an Indian here, African American, so on and so forth. This rally was about uniting people of different races. It was about uniting different people's age groups. It does not matter exactly what happens. Now, one of the bigger quotes that I noticed of the night was from Women Speak 2012, saying the approval rating of President Obama went down amongst women post-mandate. Women are concerned with conscience and religious freedom. And then Thomas Pringle states, Sandy Adams said the HHS mandate is a war on religious freedom, not a war on women. Now, I've told you guys there is going to be an event coming up soon, later in the month, where a liberal group is going to try and express and say, well, we're having this attack on women, and this is how we're going to try and do this, and it's coming up on the 28th of April, and they're all about promoting the Obamacare. They're all about trying to sit here and say, well, it's an attack on women. There are women in policy right now that are trying to pass laws to change the rules on men getting reproductive services changed, so that more men are going to want to get involved. I'm curious exactly what the next step for you will be today, because if these posts that I keep reading to you aren't igniting something inside of you, then I don't know what else will. One of the bigger things is that they've said at the rally is, I will not comply. They kept saying, I will not comply, I will not comply. They wanted to be able to, another quote that Molly Fannin says here, we just want to be able to practice what we preach. Practice what we preach. That is a big statement that I've expressively tried to share here at James C. Ministries on the Eternal Flame News program, is that if you're not active in your faith, you're not able to ignite a flame within, which is kind of how Eternal Flame News came about, then you are sorely mistaken in exactly what God's called us as Christians to do, because we're not supposed to just sit around and watch a government destroy everything about Christianity. You know, let's not just talk about the country. Let's just talk about our religious freedom. And now I'm going to ask Miranda, who's in here, who is going to be put on the spot. How do you feel about your religious freedoms as a woman constantly being under the radar? Now us men too are getting it with this medical thing going on, trying to convince women that, oh yeah, that's probably the reason why this is going on, and so on and so forth. Can you express something real quick like that? I know you're probably not feeling the greatest with everything today, but I needed to hear your opinion on this.
As a woman, it seems that they are taking over our bodies. They are telling us, okay, they're telling, if I go to work at this church or nonprofit organization that has Christian values and is against abortion, it doesn't matter anymore.
Okay.
It doesn't matter that what the Constitution says, and that's the most important thing. It doesn't matter what the Constitution says anymore, because we're just going to do whatever we want, and you just have to, deal with it. And also, I really, it devalues human life. While people are out there worrying about dolphins and fish and trees being destroyed, we don't care that we're killing a human being. I mean, it really, let's go save the whales, and let's go save the dolphins, and let's go save these seals, and let's go save these trees, and But let's not save a baby. Let's not save a life that could make a difference in this world and make a better world for us. We're killing for every child that's killed through an abortion. Specifically, I'm talking about. I'm not talking about contraception. But those could be that could be our next president. That could be our next congressman or woman.
Yeah.
That could be the next great inventor who could cure cancer.
Exactly.
But they're not worth saving. They're not worth it. That's just because somebody got in their head, well, this is my body and I'm just going to do whatever I want with it. However, we have laws that if a person kills a pregnant woman, it's a double murder or a double homicide. The only time that baby in that woman's womb is considered a human is when someone kills that mother and inevitably it kills them, the baby too. That is the only time. Why we have laws like that in place to send people to prison and even the death penalty for killing a woman and an unborn child and considering it 2 lives lost. Yet we say an abortion is, well, it's just matter. It's just atoms. It's just cells. It's not anything.
Now, I'm going to try and see. I can't remember if I bookmarked it or not. There was an article I was reading the other day that was written as an opinion blog about how that this healthcare issue, this abortion issue, is not really an issue about women's rights. And they gave specific, it should be in the bookmarks over there on the left. And I'm going to be looking off the left-hand side of my shoulder to see if I actually saved it, or maybe I dreamt that I saved it. I'm not sure if I have it saved or not. It might be under my other saving box, which is what I'm trying to look here on this computer now, because I just remembered it. But it was an opinion article specifically using quotes about the original women's rights. And I guess we can't find that article. I'm going to keep looking for it while I'm talking in my head. The interesting thing that I've ran into in learning about the history of women's rights is the original considered almost considered liberal, and in some cases there were women involved in this group that were considered more radical. But the one thing that current administrations are trying to do is use these women against women, where the original founding women that have helped free this country to allow women to have rights to vote and to communicate and in a better faction were completely against abortion.
Yeah.
And this is the part that blows my mind, that we as a people can't wake up and see the truth for what it really is. Because, and I hate the fact I can't find that article, but I wanted to share with you a little bit about what it meant.
So this is also Women's History Month, so it's
and I think I might have found it. Yeah, I think here it is. It could be. But Open Doors, and I talked about this the other day. This is one of the ones, and it's on the Christian Post. Open Doors has a setting right now, and I call it setting, where they're actually rating our congressmen on religious freedom. And I have to tell you, the ratings are very bad for the 112th Congress on here. The Open Doors USA Director of Advocacy, Lindsay Vesey, he ends up saying that most of them, only 10 members of the House had a perfect score, whereas others were a lot further along the list. And I'm not sure if that makes a total sense to you or not, but there's a big issue. And of course, the recent thing that we just did is we had that whole interview with Professor Dennis Ray, talking about homeschooling and talking about public schools, how the fight and the opportunity to reach our future generation starts with our kids. And in schools all across the country, we keep changing these laws and changing the way we think about things, and it ends up putting us in a position where we are more than likely, yes folks, more than likely, ooh, that's a bad number, more than likely to fail. I'm looking at my end screen capture. It was quite an interesting number there. But anyway, here's another Christian Post article, and I don't know if you guys can read this or not. The screen capture thing keeps working in and out. It's really strange lately. But anyway, this is on the Christian Post, and what it says here, if you can read it, I don't know if you can or not, but hopefully I'll get this they'll get it fixed. It's a technical error, really on Livestream's fault, and I'm seeing the preview over here. Yeah, look, I can get it partially to work when I scroll like this. So here we go. We're going to be like old school. It says Obama admin proposes changes the birth control mandate for self-insured religious organizations. The advance notice proposed rulemaking, ANPR, issued by the Health Departments of Labor, Treasurer, and Health and Human Services, said the proposed amendments would establish alternative ways to fulfill the birth control mandate requirements for a religious organization that objects to the coverage of contraceptive services for religious reasons. Now, that's just a little snippet possibility, but even still, you got to be careful, because here's the tricky part. The two things that you're not seeing is we're not seeing the medical community literally stand up and explain the physical side effects of birth control. Well, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give you a little snippet of what's even out there when you start looking. So you do a Google search for birth control. Guess who's the first link? It's Planned Parenthood. Now, of course, that phrase sounds kind of nice. Planned Parenthood. We're going to make you more responsible. You're going to be okay. There's no problem. List goes on and on and on. Well, I'm going to select birth control pills, and I'm looking at their site, and they don't talk about, they have like a section that says most women can use them safely, but all medications have some risks, so ask your healthcare provider about it. The interesting thing is, and I'm looking right this here, and this is their website, Planned Parenthood. They're not even telling you what could happen. They're not even explaining things that could happen. But further along in the article, you finally can see some of the serious side effects, and it's real creepy. You can get migraines, headaches, blood clots, heart stroke, angina, serious heart problems, heart valve problems, lupus, liver disease, diabetes, high blood pressure, might need an organ transplant. These are some of the effects that happen. To be more specific, some of them cause some women to lose sex drive, some of them cause them to gain weight, lose weight. List goes on and on and on. I mean, we're so full of stuff these days that we don't know which way's up or down anymore. And that really scares me, that we continually fall apart when it comes to who we are in Christ. And I just mentioned in the beginning of the show, I will not comply. Here's the image. I know it's upside down. The guy's walking with a sign. He doesn't have it held up. The person who took this pic was walking behind him. Asked to take a picture. That's one of the things. Is like, what are we really willing to stand up for today in society? I don't think many people want or could say they'll stand up for the faith. And see, that's what they're hoping for. I have another image I want to show you. This is just someone else getting to the rally. This is Mary Powers. Check this out. The flags raised. That's a big crowd. And you're telling me this isn't a big issue?
Where was this taken?
I'm trying to see exactly what town that is. I'm not sure the town. They didn't mention their city. I'm not all these posts actually say that. One of the interesting things that Dr. McNutley said, and this is by WYA North America. This is another tweet, and I retweeted it. I'll let you see it on the screen. It says, birth control industry is a multi-million-dollar industry that doesn't care about women's health. One of the bigger things we're doing right here at JMC and across the globe is we're also doing a fight on prescription pain pills and those that are affected by drugs and alcohol and so on and so forth. I have seen it from that side of the spectrum. It's no different when it comes to this promote healthcare. And I have made a side note before. There's only one little snippet place that I could even remotely say to you that these pills might make any sense, is if that's your only option, because the doctors, here's how sneaky they are. And I use the word sneaky because they don't want to give someone a hysterectomy. They'd rather put them on these pills for 20, 30 years, get sick, and then have to have more medical care. I'm tired of that. You know, if someone's hemorrhaging, I'm like, my goodness, why can't we create something to stop women from hemorrhaging, something to deal with endometriosis, something to really move forward with what we're supposed to do. Now, I have another Twitter post. This is from Women Speak 2012 again. Beckett Fund. We are all asking for is the rights we already have, the right to our conscience. Now, how many of you actually think with a conscience? Do you know what your conscience is? Better yet, how flexible and easily swayed is your conscience? The issue that we've ran in today is there's no more moral fiber backbone when it comes to people with a conscience anymore. We're too busy playing church. Well, guess what? These people today, Friday, 12 noon p.m., were having church. And you know what else they did? They prayed. This is one of the things you're not going to hear on mainstream media. They had this rally to pray for our leaders, to pray for those that are involved with exactly what they are saying and doing in society. Okay? Michael Silloway ends up saying, and I share it with you on the screen.
Father.
I'm assuming it means father. It says FR. It says, for the first time in my life, government is asking me to violate my conscience.
I like the one right below it. Says, can anyone imagine Thomas Jefferson supporting Obama's health care plan that attacks religious freedom?
Yep.
And
Fire West.
Did you know today that, what was his name? The guy that said, give me liberty or give me death.
Yeah.
Patrick Henry.
Yeah.
Today, he made that speech. Today.
Yeah, today, I mean, that's just the amazing part, that the things that have happened in society and who we are as a people, we need to wake up. Check this out. Alan Manson says this isn't about birth control, it's about government control. And that's what here in America we have to realize. And yes, I'm a Christian, yes, I'm a ministry, and yes, I'm probably considered borderline talking about this. You know what? I don't care, because when I have a government telling me I can't do something anymore, we're going to change these rules and regulations for all people. Do you realize what this law is really doing? You realize what this whole abortion issue and contraceptive issue is? It's about allowing men to get away with doing whatever they want. When I was in the military, do you know how many men were having as we would call a field day, which means extreme moments of happiness, to the fact that they knew that the woman they were having sex with was on a pill, and they could just not have to wear a condom because they were tired of having to deal with it? What it is it's making people not accept responsibility for their actions. I've said it before. We've taken away the consequences of having sex, which could lead to actually creating a life. Even furthermore, what are we doing? We are controlling our own population by allowing people to commit these things. Americans won't be mandated. Stop HHS mandate. Violates First Amendment. These are women. The one in the back says, stop. Another one says, compromise on conscience, Obama. My. You know, the day that we continually fall apart like this, and you don't want to do anything, you got to wake up. Now, in D.C., this is about 7 hours ago. This is like right in the middle of it. The rally started after a few speakers started talking. Mary Powers reports that they got on their knees to pray. Reverend Mahoney says, we're not coming here with clenched fists, but humility before God. And if you don't believe me, I'm going to get this pulled up. Thomas Peters took a picture outside of the HH office in D.C. I'm going to let this load so you can see them praying. These are men, women, teenagers, college students, workers in all around D.C. And what do? We didn't act like the Occupy and spend the night. We didn't cause problems. We got on our knees and prayed to Jesus Christ to solve our problems. Because Jesus Christ is the answer today. He's the way, the truth, and the life. Jesus can break down these strongholds. That's what this is for those of you that are more charismatic. Some of you, those of you that are in Catholic realm. Some of you that aren't even in that kind of realm. You know what it is? It's a stronghold. It's a stronghold of allowing not only government to continually do something, but it's the immoral fiber taking over. More specifically, it's the lust of the flesh. What it is women want to... it used to be when I was a kid that men wanted an excuse to sleep around, and that's what it was called. That's not what it's called today, because you're not considered sleeping around. It's considered friends with benefits. So we just changed the language. It used to be derogatory words, which I won't speak on air. It's not that anymore because we've accepted behaviors. We've changed what Americans think about one another. And I accept the fact that I don't think you should call someone a 4-letter word because they are sleeping around. But the Bible is very clear that lust of the flesh can destroy you. Lust of the flesh is what this is about. This is about taking away, and I'm saying it again, taking away the consequences of having sex and not getting someone pregnant anymore. Because it's an inconvenience for the man or woman because you don't want a baby to begin with. And I understand about, and I've heard it before, recreational sex. That's what it is. That's what they're talking about. That's what they want to do. They want to continually just move through what they want to do. And you know what? You know, when God has something big to do, it doesn't matter about the rain in Ohio. You still stand out and you pray and you listen and fast. Because there was fasting, there was prayer throughout these 7 weeks. This is right here in Cincinnati, Ohio. Now, I'm quite curious to know, are you willing to do what these people are doing? Are you willing to get on your knees and pray for your nation today? These people did it publicly, and I understand there's about your prayer closet, and I understand there's a time to do that. But when we as Christians all across the United States, we seem to have become disconnected from one another, segregated is a better word for it, and we don't know who our true allies are. You will be known by your fruits and who you associate with and how you work. Do you understand what I mean by that today? If you are, for a better lack term, in cahoots with, your best friend is, one that wouldn't support something like this, you do need to wake up and take notice. And you can go ahead and make another Twitter post for me, Miranda. It's fine. We've got good streaming the whole show. I haven't lost anything. That was one of the other issues on the side I was going to mention, is we were worried we were going to lose stuff, but we haven't. Check this out. Human Life International says our founding documents recognize that our rights come from God. They are not concessions granted by the government. That was Friar West. Or Father West, excuse me. I don't want to say Friar, but anyway. Diane Black Bear Paul says here, we are not anymore a free country if the government can make you pay for what your faith calls a sin. A keynote speaker in D.C. You know, why do we keep doing this? Here's another one. Why is this administration so hostile to those who care to serve the least of these? And I mentioned the show the other day about Martin Luther King's daughter would probably not agree with the socialistic activities going on. She was one of the speakers today. Here's what she said. She ends up singing the song Freedom, which I believe is an amazing event of being able to sit here and see. Go ahead and say yes. To see someone who wants to stand up for truth and do what needs to be done. You know what happened in New York City? Amazing Grace was sung in New York City, echoing the walls of Wall Street. Not Occupy people screaming and spending the night and keeping businesses from doing what needs to be done. No, we had people pray and sing Amazing Grace and fast and pray for 7 days and spend a couple of hours somewhere. And what did? They went home, they went back to where their neighborhoods were, and they made a commitment that they want to take it back to the people. Yes, the Occupy was completely angry about this. They were retweeting us all day long, calling us idiots and making fun of us and saying that we should not be the way we should be. Here's an interesting one. Constitution ally, Star Parker, this is what was said at their rally. My car insurance shouldn't pay for your tune-up. And my health insurance shouldn't pay for your abortion. Also, a New York City Council member, Fernando Cabrera, vows to fight for freedom. And then Narar ends up saying America is a Christian nation. Sign reads out up front of HHS mandate rally in Detroit outside the Federal Building. And then one of the most interesting posts, for those of you who are familiar with the segregation of African Americans, will remember who Rosa Parks is. So when I read this, her story where she was in the back of a bus, boycotted the bus, and eventually was able to bring down that massive problem, because that was one of the things that was happening with black people in the South. They were being forced to sit in the back of the bus, being forced to sit over here, and here's your water thing, here's your table. We know what she said, I'm tired of that. Well, here's a good example of that. Today we come like Rosa Parks. As people of faith, we will not be bullied to sit in the back of a bus. Not be bullied to sit in the back of a bus. And then in Boston, Boston, where you get a bag instead of a bag, you get a big.
Okay.
Anyway, they said the crowd sings, greater things are still to come. Your God of this city. They sang that in Boston in front of the Federal Building today. And Dr. Johnny Hunter says on Woman Speak 2012, there's a problem in the land and earthly leaders decided to tell God's people how to live. I mentioned this on the show the other day, how Moses was able to reach Pharaoh and how God even used Pharaoh for his doing. So I realized regardless of how dark a leader is, when it comes to their rights following Christianity and how they are and what they think about God can still pierce through any dark and clouded, calloused mind. And then Chris Goulet ends up reminding us that Obama promised he would not violate our religious freedoms in his speech in Notre Dame. How many of us remember that? And he was in Chicago. Now, the interesting thing about Chicago, that's Obama's little backyard, right? Where he's from. Well, it got pretty interesting. Here's a picture from it right now. Chicago. I just said a second ago there was a problem with Chicago. Well, as the rally continued on, here's what happened. Power went out in the Chicago Federal Building. Meaning, they wouldn't let them use it anymore. They shut them off. They refused to turn the power back on in Chicago. This is the one tweet location that I published, and I kept posting it out there, letting people know that the freedoms of Americans in Chicago for the rights for Christianity were being withheld. Pro-Life Action reports, power went out in Chicago, Federal Building refused to turn it back on, but the post office let us run a cord inside. See, God will always make a way to get His message out, and He'll always expose those that are in the darkness. He will always find a way to use the least of these people that you might not even realize to get a message out. And you know what? Today was an amazing day. Back to Chris again. He ends up getting another quote from the rally. We don't tell you to believe our God. We just want religious freedom. And honestly, I think those that aren't, in the Christian faith, think that just because we think, and this is what they say, we just think, I realize that you and I as Christians, we know this truth is supposed to be for everyone, but the world doesn't think so, so they try and categorize it differently and end up saying something like this. Well, I don't want this put on me. I don't want to be told that I could go to hell. I don't want to be told these things. It's like, well, you got a free choice. You can believe this or not. But regardless, we're going to help these people. So I think that's the next point and take when it comes to this. We have to show truth and love to those around us. Because one of the bigger issues, one of the big key things that need to happen next is while we continually try and change the law, we still have to love on these people that hate what we believe in. We got to pierce their calloused hearts against this form of Christianity, because that's what we've done as humans. We've categorized what Christianity means anymore. Do a rally like this 40 years ago, it would have been a massive amount of people. Massive. About halfway through it, 27 cities reported, according to Pro-Life Action, 15,750 people. Nationwide rally for religious freedom participating. And we got people in the chat talking with us. We got Lisa, and we got our hubby in there, Lee. And I appreciate you guys talking with us in the chat. You're right. Sin needs to be called out for what it is. I mentioned this before. There's that whole two-edged sword, but it's also that God wants to bring this greatest commandment is to love our neighbor as ourselves. Another thing that happened in Detroit was a quote, "We are crusaders marching for freedom, saving our country," chanted by young Christians in the rally in Detroit. Yes, folks, if you show up on our chat, I will end up mentioning you on air. And if you have a question, I can't answer it on air. Now we're going to try and go to Austin, Texas, which is probably a place where I should be living right now. Give you a hint where I might move next. Austin, Texas. Here's the crowd. There's balloons, signs, speakers, prayers. See, the weird thing is, and it's weird because that's what the world calls it. You and I call it faith and truth. and supernatural, everlasting, omnipresent power through our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, they're going to call it weird what's going to happen next. And what I mean is, what will happen next is there's going to be a change in the way people think and act and do. And the way people think, act, and do. Here's another picture outside of a U.S. courthouse, approximately over 200 people. The sign in the back right here, underneath the balloon, says religious freedom for all. Stand up for religious freedom. Liberty for all. See, I thought about this for a while. Like, was I just going to get a big speech made? Or would I let the people themselves share their message of truth and justice and what's known as the liberty and life of who we are in Jesus Christ? Check this out. It is our duty to resist, said head of Thomas More Center, Christian legal group, meaning resist the HH mandate in Detroit.
Yeah, the thing that I'm amazed that the history of our country is built on rebellion and against the government, and to think that Americans were just not going to do anything really amazes me that people honestly thought that, because it is engraved into us, our founding fathers, just by writing the Declaration of
Here's
Independence.
Oregon.
Jeremy,
Keep
just
going.
by them writing the Declaration of Independence, every one of them, if captured, was going to be murdered. They were going to be hung. They could have had their head. They were going to be killed because they went against the government, which was Britain, which was the king. And to think that, to be kind of shocked that this is happening, that Americans are standing up and they're taking a stand against the government, for people to say they're shocked, look at the history of our country. And it may look like the Americans have become complacent, but we haven't. There are still many out there who are willing to stand up and fight and take back our country.
So you guys are looking at an image right now in Oregon. And I have to tell you, and I have to pause. What's the difference between those of you who haven't been to one of these rallies today? My excuse is I was covering the rallies nationwide. What was your excuse? Some of you have a legitimate excuse. You don't know about it.
They have to work.
You have to work. This was at 12 noon. A lot of people have jobs. Guess what? You have tomorrow and this evening after this program. We're going to continue on with probably another half an hour because I got even more tweets to cover for this event. I'm going to go ahead and let you guys hear another clip. I want my wife to get this clip ready. While we're sitting here in the United States covering about religious freedom, I got to get an image up ready for you guys to see this, because you're not going to believe who of the most unlikely people in the world who decided to want to actually join with the nationwide United States Rally for Religious Freedom. It wasn't in America that this happened. It's an extended family. A family that I call my brothers and sisters in Christ in Pakistan. Play the clip.
These are the brothers and sisters from Pakistan, the friends and relatives of Rafi Astomi. They are having solidarity with the US brothers and sisters who are demanding today, 23rd of March 2012, religious liberty from the president. So the brothers and sisters from Pakistan, Rafia's friends and their relatives, they are having this solidarity rally, demonstration in favor of their demands. This is a message to the US brothers and sisters that all the brothers and sisters in Pakistan, they are praying for them and they are with them in this struggle with spirit and prayers.
You hear that? Not to Allah, to Jesus Christ. Christians in Pakistan expressing solidarity and support for our U.S. brothers and sisters demanding religious freedom. And as you see in this image, and I'm tearing up, those are men, women, and children. And they got candles. Beautiful men, women, and children praying for us in America. Praying for you and me. You see, I love my friends that are overseas that talk to me on Facebook. That's where that image was found. Because we were making all these posts and other people were connected to them and so whatnot. So they gathered their family together and made the image and found a way to get the internet posted and went from there. Now, how amazing can that be? If that's not enough to make you realize that what's at stake. Just think about this for a second. The whole world looks at the United States as a beacon, like a lighthouse. For those of you who've seen a lighthouse, lighthouses were created to have this extremely bright light and this loud noise known as a foghorn, because the ships needed a beacon, needed a sound, and something they could see to be notified of danger. Warning, warning, mayday, mayday, help me, save me, don't go this way, turn away, go back, or go this way, it's safe. The United States of America is, until most recently in times, was that beacon of light and hope and the salt of the world. Many Christians from the United States have become missionaries to the rest of the world. But now, what's going on? If the people of Pakistan, the Christians in Pakistan, are seeing what's happening in America, and they are, they're getting concerned. I'm not going to use the word afraid, but concerned enough to need to pray for Americans. Don't you think that's enough warning signs that something needs to happen? That we need to wake up as an American people. We need to wake up as a entity of those united worldwide to wake up to the undoing of our country, the undoing of Christianity in America. I am just so concerned with how this works. Now check this image out. Jose. I'm not a protest kind of guy. But yet here I am in defense of religious liberty. And I want to show you, guys the image from where he was at. And yeah, check this out. This is just an amazing time of people that are gathering all across the globe. I'm just so excited and curious as to what are you going to do. Now, in Florida, Pensacola, Florida specifically, we have even more people standing up for freedoms. Check this out. Thunderstorms could not stop us for standing up for religious freedom. Thunderstorms cannot stop us from religious freedom. You need to see that from Pensacola to Texas to Florida to New York City, people across the globe have stood up to unite with one another against the HHS mandate, the healthcare, the Obamacare. But that's what the world wants to look at. These are Christians, Catholics, Protestants, evangelicals, whatnot, have all come together who want to express a message of don't step on my faith. Quit telling us what we can or cannot do anymore. It's getting to the point where we're making laws in the U.S. telling people that you cannot ever anymore be a part, or we cannot ever anymore say these words. I don't know. I mean, and it's gone the same way, that some people want to wake up to what's happening, because too many times in society in America, if we can't wake up, what are we going to do? Here's another tweet for you guys. We will never forget and we will never surrender. The erasing of our freedoms stop here. We many who cannot be there are still with you. See, there were a lot of people. It was over 200,000 plus that were at this event that wanted to try and bring forth a truth beyond anything else that ever happened. And I realize that if we as Americans don't want to try and go beyond what we see, what I mean is, you have to look through your spiritual eyes and be able to express a message and allow Jesus Christ to use you as that vessel, as that message to the world, because the world is watching what we're doing. It's great that we have a rally all across the United States, but what are we going to do next? How are we as Americans are going to stand up for what we believe anymore? Because it's affecting Christians, it's affecting Jews, it's affecting everybody. And the freedoms of our country are going to continually be changed, because what I don't understand is, on one side we'll tell one group that they can't pray, and then on the other side we'll tell another group that they can't express these questions. But honestly, if we don't repent of what we've done to this country ourselves, this is never going to get any better. We're just going to continually fall away to the wayside and continually lose a sense of direction and a hope and a plan in the future. So here's one of the tactics that they want to try and do. They want to use fear, or they want to make it where you don't have a purpose, you don't have a plan, you don't have any form of what you want to do in life. And if we don't continually let this message get heard, because a lot of times I've seen rallies like this, I've seen movements before, and people will gather and they'll say, well, we're going to sit here and talk to Congress and we're going to try and get signatures. There have been over 100,000 signatures sent to Congress and the House, Pelosi, Reid, and so forth, for the end of this health care law. For those of you out there that listen to this program, you need to understand what it means to vote. Because I've talked to Christians, I've talked to Muslims, I've talked to Jews all across the United States, and majority of them under the age of 30 are not voting for anyone. They're not filling out petitions. They see the Tea Party movement, they see the Occupy movement, and then they see themselves. And like, I can't do anything. Most things are changed by one vote. Most things are changed because one person decided to speak and be a person who can speak for the voiceless. Because that's what happens. God's going to tell us to pray for our leaders. It's specific. We're supposed to pray for our country, our leaders, our friends, our family, our jobs. We're supposed to be praying for everyone. That's one step. You can also fast. You can also get educated on what laws are being passed currently in our government, and does it affect you? If you can't understand it, find someone who understands and can translate the dialogue and the language that makes sense to you. And furthermore, some of you are going to be actively being able to move forward into this next step, this next point in your life. Because this goes so far that if things continually change, this country will not be the same anymore. It will not be what we remember it to be. It'll end up being something that no one will recognize. You know, I've had this conversation right here in Ohio and in Texas and Florida and in South Africa and elsewhere about the political systems and about how people move from one place to another, specifically through their political affiliations and from their friends to their businesses and to how churches are organized. Right now, we have churches that are more socialistic and communistic in society that are completely backing this. Using verses that explain about free will and people have choices. By just so happenstance forgetting that the healthcare will be passing abortion and will be passing contraceptives and will be telling Christians to act differently, and even those of other religions that are against those kinds of things too, because I realize I've looked enough and talked to enough people in the world that this affects a lot of people. What are you going to do about it? You know, I can keep saying this all night long. The Freedom from Religion website is capable of equipping you to know what to do as the next step. It's capable of showing you exactly what you need to know. Too many people want to just forget. But if you're serious, you can take action right now today. StandUpForReligiousFreedom.com/action. There's the HHS fact sheet. You can sign the petition. If you're a woman, you can speak out against it. You can call your congressman. You can send out a letter to your editor of your local paper. You can get the word out. You can help spread the fact sheet PDF file. You can sign this petition. You can persuade your friends and family and others to change, but you're not going to be able to do it without a little help. Get the facts. Become educated. Pray and fast. Seek guidance so God can give you the words and the thoughts to speak. He'll give you the verses to quote. If we want to stay a Christian nation, we have to bring ourselves back to our knees, repent of our sins, and move forward, because we cannot allow this to continue anymore. I'd like to thank you guys for coming tonight. This has been the coverage for the Religious Freedom Rally right here in the United States in the JMC Ministry Studios for Eternal Flame News. I'm Jeremy Caverly. That's Miranda Caverly in the corner. You might see a finger on the side of the screen or smack me in the backside of the head. I don't know. But anyway, we will be on air, guys. We'll be on air tomorrow at 9 p.m. This is the last of a 2-week JMC Ministry Studios production of Eternal Flame News from a Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. So here's what we're going to start doing. I wanted to start practicing this for a couple of weeks when I had freedom from school, that is. I start back school Monday. So here's the deal. Here's what I'm going to do for you guys. Eternal Flame News will be on air every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern. I'll say that again. Eternal Flame News will be on air every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern. And then Saturday, me and Miranda will be on air if she's able to. We'll go another direction, talking about some of our interviews, a little more in-depth with faith. This is more like a political style show. That will be Saturdays at 9 p.m. Eastern. When this gets done, this should automatically be on our live stream player. That's at the jmclive.com site or the live stream site, so on and so forth. We'll get this edited, loaded. We also have another behind-the-scenes video we're going to post, and a lot more great things. We got 2 more interviews posted. Lots of stuff coming down the pipe for the rest of 2012. I hope you're blessed. Be safe in these storms tonight. It's amazing we didn't lose power tonight. God bless. And we'll see you tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern for JMC Live.